Hey folks, I have no idea how this is going to actually work. I'm remaining hopeful. It's been a while since you've seen my face. Hi! And that is because I live in a very dark and dreary part of the United States. And without making it a video completely about the methodology and the pragmatics of actually filming for YouTube. To make a really super long story short, I've always been someone that has filmed only in natural lighting, and up until this year we lived in a house where I had a big window that led right outside, and I got a lot of great natural lighting all the time, and so I never really needed to worry about that. I just propped myself up near this big window and bada bing. In all of the 6 or 7 years that I've in some capacity filmed for YouTube, I've never really had a problem with it. This is the first, well, we've lived in this house for a little over 2 years, but up until this winter, it's never really been a problem with lighting. For some reason, this winter has been so dreary and so dark and so crummy. I mean, I was having no lighting. I'm faced in opposite direction of the house. Our window that I film at is a completely different part of the house. This is something that you guys don't really care about, I'm sure. But needless to say, lighting was getting so dark, so bad, so dreary. Every day was so, it was so dark. It was dark at like 4:30 in the afternoon any given day. I really was not able to film hardly at all. When I was filming, the videos were super, super dark in quality. And I've been filming videos up until now, but when I get them into editing and I look at them, they're so dark. I can't even like, I can't even put that on my channel. So, that's my cat, sorry. I got lights for Christmas, so I'm gonna see how the quality changes. If you guys like this, you're probably gonna see the lighting change a lot here in the next few videos until I find like my sweet spot. But it took me way too long to set these things up and to build them and to figure things out. I'm just like, I can't spend another 2 hours figuring these out, so I'm just going to film what I have. Hi Quinn, that's my cat Quinn. Anyway, let's cut right to the actual video, which is what you're actually here to care about. So, because I have not updated you guys on my reading at all, at least the past month and a half, I couldn't talk to you at all about the books that I had read in 2017. I didn't wrap up any of my reading, so I'm gonna start the new year off with my 2017 reading survey. I feel like we're still in that time frame that I can still film that video. Anyway, expect to hopefully at least see new videos more frequently now that I can actually film like almost any hour of the day, which is nice. So I'm going to talk to you about the books that I read in 2017. I've got a handy dandy list right here, and let's just go for it. All right. The first question is, how many books did I read in 2017? I read 59 books, and the follow-up question is, was that above your reading goal? Was that below your reading goal? Did you hit a goal? That was above my reading goal. I pledged to read 50 books, and so I exceeded that by 9 books, so I was quite pleased by that. Next question is, what was your most read genre? Now, when I record the books that I'm reading, I don't really write down or calculate or whatever the genres, but thinking about the books that I read, it's kind of in line with what I usually read in any given year, which is adult contemporary, mostly, with some like fictional thriller thrown in, a couple domestic thrillers, and then closely following that, YA, and then like some horror. That's kind of usually what I read any given year. Next question is, what is the longest book that you read? And I read It by Stephen King. It is 1,156 pages. Whew, this was a behemoth. It was a big accomplishment. I'm so proud that I got this crazy book read. And then appropriately, what is the shortest book that you read? And I've read Anthem by Ayn Rand, and this little guy is 90 pages. Alrighty, next question is, what was your favorite book that you read that was published in 2017? And Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This is a book that I didn't update you guys as to that I was reading because it was in December. I just finished reading this the last week or two of the year. It blew my mind. I loved it so much. It was absolutely one of the best books that I had read in the entire year, and it was, like, you know, a 2017 release. So absolutely a great book. Next question to that is, what is your favorite debut novel that was published in 2017? And that was Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. This was her debut novel. And I read this in December. Like, I read a lot of really great books in December, so it ended my year awesome. And this book was definitely not what I was expecting it to be, and it blew my mind. It blew all my expectations out of the water. This is such a strange book and amazingly written, and I just loved it so much. Next question is, what was the best book you read in 2017 that was not published in 2017? I forgot that I read this in 2017. It's just the year seems like it went on forever. And it was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This book was published in 2016. I read it in February of 2017. And it's just so good. It's just such a good book, guys. Next question is, what book did you read in 2017 that lived up to the hype? It was Dark Matter. I'd been hearing so much about this book for the longest time, and it totally lived up to the hype. So awesome, so weird. And I think this is something that I want to possibly reread in 2018 because it was just such an experience. And if you haven't read this book, you need to get on this book. It's awesome. So similarly, what book did you read that did not live up to the hype? And I don't have it with me, and I'm sorry. And once again, I didn't talk about this book because it was at the end of the year. I borrowed it from a coworker, and I already returned it to her, so, but it was The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I've heard nothing but sensational things about this book, and I read it, and I just didn't get it. I didn't understand. I kept reading it, like, thinking, am I going to get to the point? Am I going to get to the part? That's so amazing. And before I knew it, I was at the end of the book, and I was so frustrated by reading it. It really bummed me out. I didn't really get it. I'm sorry. All right, next question is, what book was your biggest accomplishment in reading? It was this one, because it's so big. Next question is, what was your favorite character? These questions are always really hard for me because, I don't know, as much as I love reading, I don't tend to become attached to characters, which sounds so backwards. Like the characters are what propel you to read and propel the story forward for the most part, so you should kind of naturally become attached to some of them. But I don't really know. Like, when I finish a book, I don't linger on the characters, and that's why I don't really read sequels, or I don't really read series, because after I finish a book, for me, that's done, and I'm not, like, thinking about the characters, and I don't really know. So it's kind of hard for me to answer, but I kind of stayed in line with my, you know, what book I've been mentioning a few times already, and probably Richie or Bill were two of my favorite characters, and I think I connected with them so strongly, not just because they were written so well, but because it's such a massive book. So because of its size, I feel like I am easier to connect. It is easier for me to connect to characters because I'm with them for so long. It took me 3 weeks to read this book. Most other books I can read in like between 3 and 5 or 3 to 6 days. So there's really not a lot of time that I'm spending with them. So I think that's probably why I connected with them, because I had spent 3 weeks reading them. Next question is, what was your least favorite character? Now, I could have taken this a couple different ways. I almost wanted to address the question like, what character did you hate reading about? Maybe they were like really shallow or vapid, or they were underdeveloped, or they just made bad decisions and I hated them. But then I kind of was like, no, I'm not gonna go that way because I think that I would find myself being like snarky and possibly bashing a character that some people may have thought would be likable, and I'm not here to bash people or bash books. So I actually chose a villain, my least favorite character being a villain, someone that you're not supposed to like. So I'm choosing a character from It. I'm choosing Henry Bowers, and I can't remember his name. There was another kid that was like awful, terrible, horrendous, awful, evil person, and I can't remember his name, and there's no way I'm going to try to search through this book and find it. But if you read the book, you probably know the other terrible kid that I'm talking about. I've said it before, and I will continually say it. Nobody writes characters, and nobody writes villains like Stephen King. Next question is, what is the most shocking book or shocking scene that you read? And I kind of struggled on this because I read a lot of really shocking scenes in The Troop, which I didn't think to grab downstairs, so I didn't think I was going to talk about it. I read it for Spookathon, and it was just really graphy and gory and disgusting. But then I also, once again, I'm just thinking about, this is probably one of the last times I'm going to mention this book, maybe? I don't know. It's the scene in it. If you've read this book, you know the scene near the end that I'm talking about. Ugh, it's just so weird. It made me feel really uncomfortable. It's the scene near the end of the book. Most shocking. Most shocking. Next question is, who was your favorite couple in books of 2017? Also, hard question to answer because I don't read a lot of romances. I don't read a lot of books that focus on romantic relationships. But once again in December, I picked up My True Love Gave to Me, and probably one of the characters in this book, or one of the couples in this book, I don't remember their name, but there was like probably the first 2 or 3 stories, there were some really, really adorable couples. I'm not going to go through and try to find their names. I ultimately just love this book for like its cuteness and the romance quality. So I guess this book altogether just had cute couples that I really didn't get to experience through the rest of my reading year. Next question is to choose the best written book. And I couldn't pick one, so I chose Little Fires Everywhere, Her Body and Other Parties, and I also chose The Princess Bride. My mom is borrowing it right now. I don't have it, but I include this in best written, not because the words chosen are like poetic or the author doesn't necessarily approach things, people, places with a different eye, or sometimes that's what I think I value when I come to evaluating if a book is well written, if they describe something in a new and different way. I really just mean the structure of the book. I think that it's one of the most interestingly structured books that I've probably ever read. And that's always what I appreciate about that, and the aspect of that being really well written. So The Princess Bride by William Goldman is super well written. All right, next question is, which book did I push the most people to read, or that I recommended to most people? I have a couple of different options. 6 Stories, although the ending, I hated that it was predictable to me, but I thought it was a cool setup. The Dinner. Everybody hates this book. I don't understand why, and I keep telling people to read it because I think it's such a surprise. And A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. It's super, super, super itty bitty, really cool, really different. And I think I talked about this for like a good 3 months straight earlier this year. The next category is choose the book that has the most beautiful cover. And I have, once again, 3. These 2 are very similar. And you can kind of see that it's because I kind of like this night sky, starry Milky Way. I have The Smell of Other People's Houses and Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. They both have this really pretty galaxy, starry night type of deal, which I love. And then I also have From Here to Eternity by Kaitlyn Dodie. I just love this. I just love the gold, and I love the I love like the turquoise, and then like this cool like blue-gray. I just love everything about this cover, and I don't know, I can't get over this one. I'm gonna skip the next question, which is, what's your favorite adaptation? Oh, no, I can actually answer this question. Oh my god. I tend to only think in terms of movies. I don't watch a lot of movies. But I'm going to include The Handmaid's Tale, of course. The Hulu series. I thought it was sensational. So yeah, that's my favorite adaptation. I'm glad that I thought about it, because dang. Next question is, which book did you read that made you cry the most? And admittedly, I don't cry while reading books. If I cry over any medium, it's some sort of visual medium like TV and movies. I will shed a tear over those. Books, I find for some reason I just don't. I don't know why. I don't read books that make me cry. So I'm lucky if like 2 books in a year kind of just at least make me tear up. This is the only one that I can think about, and it's a strange one. It's From Here to Eternity by Kaitlyn Dodie. I remember specifically writing in my Goodreads update that I had teared up 2 different times while reading near the end. And honestly, I can't remember what I was even reading about. I think the thing is, there's not a narrative in here. This is nonfiction. I just think that she was talking about something that was really heartfelt, really sentimental, about the death, dying, grieving process, passing away. And I just feel like something in what she was writing just must have struck personally to me. I can't remember what it was. I think I might try to go back and find it, because this is like the only thing that made me cry. And I teared up. There wasn't probably even any real spillage of tears, but I'm a cold-hearted soul, so that's why. The next question is, which book made you laugh the most? Interesting. I must not just be emotional when I read books. I don't also read very many LOL, laugh out loud, funny books. I just don't. I'm pretty stoked when I read, I suppose, but this is the book that I think made me laugh the most. Interestingly enough, it was probably it. Because people don't think about Stephen King as having a sense of humor. There's a lot of funny moments in this book. Remember, half of this book is about, like, teenage boys and the crude remarks and their conversations and the jokes they make and how immature they are. Like, that stuff makes me laugh. They made me laugh. There's a lot of stuff that's funny in this book. Even though it's a horror book. Made me laugh. Who is my new favorite author? And this was kind of tough for me too. There's a lot of authors that I think I'm definitely going to read more about. But for me, the problem is always, there's very few authors that I read that I always am interested in what they're writing. And that's just kind of what comes with the territory of writing fiction, is every story is different. So just because I may like an author, I may not necessarily want to read their next book because it doesn't sound like it's interesting to me. I'm going to choose Kaitlyn Dodie, because this is the second book that I've read of hers, and I loved it as much as I loved the first one, which was The Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Stories from the Crematorium. I'm always interested in what she has to say. She has a YouTube channel, she has her own business, she writes books. They're always nonfiction, and they're always about, like, the death industry, death and dying, grieving, death practices, and I'm always interested in that topic. Anything that she talks about, I'm interested in. So I can safely say that I'm probably going to read anything that she puts out, because not only do I think she writes amazingly, but because I'm always going to be interested in the topic. And I can't always say that's the case for fiction writers. So, all right, what is your guilty pleasure book of the year? And scary stories to tell in the dark. I have, I think I have 2 of the 3. I'm still trying to find the third one. This is not a book that I think is written well. These stories aren't particularly written well, but I love the nostalgia factor of reading these books and remembering as a child the same experience. So I just love these little guys. All right, next question is, what was your favorite reread of the year? And I'm choosing Handmaid's Tale. I'm pretty sure this is the 3rd or 4th time that I've read this book, and it's always perfect. It's always a 5 out of 5. I love it so much. And I tend to read it every other year. I don't think I'm going to read it this year, but I might read it in 2019. But basically, I'm happy with my year. I'm not happy with the mess that's in front of me right now, and I apologize for the long hiatus. I hope that you'll see me again regularly. I feel so rusty and so creaky, and I need to put all these books away now, so. And this went on way longer than I thought it would. I will see you guys another time. Take care. Bye!